A little buy or sell as we cap the week. And let's begin where it started. We were on Aaron Rodgers' watch on Monday. Buy or sell, the Aaron Rodgers drama is officially over in Green Bay.
Do I mean if I buy it, then I agree with it?
It's over. Yes.
I don't think it's over. What happens if it comes out next week that Aaron Rodgers is only guaranteed to play 1 year in Green Bay? I'm not sure about my future beyond this year. What is that for me would change what I thought of this. Other than, I think we all have to see what this contract is, Mike.
Yes.
No one, I think, right? Does anybody really know what the contract is? I don't. I mean, I've seen, reports about it, but nothing that I just don't know about the contract. But if I am relatively sure that it's for longer than 1 year, I'm all in with it. But if we are just pushing this till next off season, and the drama's going to happen again, where every reporter in America is live tweeting Pat McAfee, I mean, that doesn't solve the problem. It just delays a solution to the problem.
He quibbled with the idea Rodgers did that it was just a foolish tweet from him on Tuesday that reports that he has signed a contract or incorrect. Nobody reported he had signed. They reported he agreed to terms. That's a fundamental difference. No one said he signed, but you know what? Here we are 3 days later. He still hasn't signed. We haven't seen it yet. And you're right, Peter. The details of that contract, not the 4 years, $200 million. He quibbled with that too. Maybe it's $200.1 million. Who knows what he's quibbling with there? But once we see the structure, the signing bonus, the payout, the deferment, will there be deferred payments of signing bonus to future years so they don't have to go back and recover it from him if he retires? I've been led to believe that the structure of this deal is going to be set up for him to walk away without a financial penalty after 22 if he wants to, after 23, after 24, etc. So the drama will be there every year because he's basically on a 1 year at a time existence. And the other question is, will he be able to, and I think he will want this, after every year, go back and say, do I want to stay with the Packers? Do I want to retire? Or do I want to play for someone else? I think that's part of what he's exacting from them. And he has tremendous leverage here because his cap number is $46.66 million without any adjustment. They need him to redo this contract. I think that he will have an understanding with the Packers that next year he engages in the same deliberations he engaged in this year. Do I stay? Do I go? Do I quit? And I think it's not going away. We think it's going away because we have an answer for now. We've just kicked it until next year. And it's going to be 1 year at a time until he leaves, retires, or the Packers decide they've had enough and they cut him, which at some point he'll stay long enough that they will cut him. At some point they'll say he's not as good as he used to be, and we've been waiting for this day where we can finally get rid of this guy because he's been a pain in our ass.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I'm selling because I don't want to kick the can 1 year down the road. If you want to kick the can 2 years down the road, fine. But let me ask you a question. How do you feel if you're Davante Adams, knowing that if I sign a 4-year, $90 million contract with $70 million guaranteed, I have no idea what his contract would be. But if you're going to do that, how would you feel knowing that, if you think about it, okay, if you think about it, knowing that all you've done is buy Aaron Rodgers for the first year of your 4 years. You know what I'm saying, Mike? I just think that I don't know how this solves your issue with Davante Adams, because it's clear that Davante Adams does not want to sign up for 3 years of the unknown and 1 year of Aaron Rodgers. I would think if I were Davante Adams. So it's an odd situation to me if he only guarantees that he's staying 1 year.
But Rodgers has this. He spent all of 21 with the sword of Damocles hovering over the Packers, and I think that he's going to come out of this negotiation in the same situation where he has the power, he has the control, and he has the ability to say, I don't like how you're dealing with me. I don't like how you're dealing with the team. I'm out. I'm done. I'm moving on. I don't want to be part of a rebuild. I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to be part of that. So the drama isn't over, and you're right. There are going to be other victims, collateral victims to this, including Jordan Love. He's the only guy I feel bad about because he's the only guy in all of this that had no choice but to involve himself in the middle of this mess with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. All right, buy or sell, and we've already kind of touched on this. Russell Wilson was plan A for the Broncos all along, something the Broncos very much would like us to accept and to sell to the audience. Peter, I sell that one 100 cents on the dollar. He was not plan A. Rodgers was plan A, in my opinion.
Mike, I'm going to be honest with you about this. Not that I'm ever dishonest with you, but it's hard for me to answer that question because I have not talked to George Payton. I've not talked to Nathaniel Hackett. They are not going to discuss this until the trade is made official.
But they're not going to tell you the truth either. They're not going to say, yeah, we really wanted Aaron Rodgers, but we settled for Russell Wilson.
Well, Mike, then here's my question to you. How can you assume that their plan A was – it's very logical
evidence.
That plan A was Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, trading for Russell Wilson an hour after Aaron Rodgers said he's staying in Green Bay.
Mike, I understand exactly what you're saying. But as a former attorney who I'm sure still could practice law, that that just because something seems like that you're not positive that is what that was. Now, let me also tell you this. Would Russell Wilson, his wife, and the agent have been on their way to Denver Monday, sort of midday? I think it was Monday, right? Before they were absolutely positive about Aaron Rodgers. So that is, and I think that is the case, that they were in a plane for Denver before the whole Rodgers thing broke. Now, could they have had some advance warning? Yes. Could the Broncos have had some advance warning? Yes. But the reason I can't answer that question is that I want to know for sure. I want to do some reporting on this before I said, yep, absolutely, Rodgers was the Broncos' choice all along. That's my assumption, yes, but I don't know that.
My next level conspiracy theory here, and I'll just mention this very quickly because we have to move on. I toyed with this earlier in the week, and I'm saying it facetiously for the most part. Rodgers caught wind of the fact that the Broncos were going to pull the trigger on Wilson, so he made his decision known to create the impression that he was plan A in Denver. That would be awesome if that were true. And that would be petty, but yeah, you're capable of being a really good quarterback and also being very petty. Just ask Tom Brady. All right, let's move on to Carson Wentz. Buy or sell? He will resurrect his career in Washington. Peter.
Sell. I mean, Mike, I spoke to in the last week, mostly at the Combine, but one post-Combine, a lot of people who have been around Carson Wentz in his last couple of stops. And it's not a pretty picture. And I think this all goes back to, the injury in 2017 that, I think part of him, it was hard for him to get over that. It was hard for him to get over going from the perhaps the MVP of the NFL in 2017, to getting hurt and then your career just collapsing all around you. So to me, I think there are two things about Carson Wentz that he has to prove in order to turn this narrative around. One, he better start listening to coaching. That is without any question one of the two or three biggest things that dogged him at the end in Philadelphia and that dogged him in Indianapolis. And number two, I think he's got to do this in a football sense. He's got to stop being convinced when he gets to the line of scrimmage, I'm going there. I know exactly where I'm going. Quarterbacks can't do that. You can't play that way. And too often, he would make a decision either pre-snap or too early in the thing without looking at all his options. You can't play quarterback successfully in the NFL if you're a know-it-all when you go to the line of scrimmage. Those are the things that Carson Wentz. Now, look, I've heard all this stuff about, the leadership wasn't there and all this other stuff. And, he's a selfish guy. Look, if he doesn't throw those idiotic passes, you saw the interception, the pick six against the Titans, ridiculous throw. That and the Kyler Murray throw are the two worst throws of this season in the NFL. You saw the horrible interception he threw against Jacksonville that really was the turning point in them getting killed in that game. And so he needs to listen to Scott Turner in Washington, and he needs to leave his ego at the door. And can he do that? I don't know, but 2 consecutive teams he hasn't done it.
We got to take a break, but this is the key, and this is the point we made all week long. This is his wake-up call. He didn't get his wake-up call last year because he was able to leave Philadelphia thinking, they're wrong, I'm right. Frank Reich is welcoming me with open arms. Now Frank Reich is kicking him to the curb at the behest of Jim Irsay. This is the wake-up call. Didn't get it last year. If he doesn't get it this year, he's done. It's over. This is it for Carson Wentz.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.